Hey friends, today we're talking about how to become more productive and better in your work as a developer. I recently read this fantastic book by Zeno Rocha, 14 Habits of Highly Productive Developers, where he shares numerous tips for software engineers. And for this book, he interviewed many top developers from Google, Microsoft, Spotify, Amazon, etc. and shares their insights. And that's what this video is about, which also contains a few really concrete tips that you can apply in your working life, in your career. From now on, let's go. The book, as the title suggests, covers 14 habits. I'll tell you about 4 habits that I consider the most interesting, the most important. Let's get started. Habit 3: teaching equals learning. Zeno writes that his father told him, if you really want to learn something, you have to teach it. I can only agree with his father. There is even scientific evidence that teaching the content of a lesson to others leads to a deeper and more persistent understanding, and teaching enhances the teacher's own learning of educational materials. There are many ways to teach. You can start a blog and write something. Use social media, for example, post a video on YouTube, or give a presentation. The important thing is that it is public and that you explain something to another person. I would also add that even teaching colleagues helps. Explaining daily work tasks to them helps you understand something better. This can happen spontaneously when you're asked something, but you can also take the initiative. Invite a few developer colleagues to a small meeting, call it something like time to share, and say you want to share your knowledge about a topic. That could be a cool new technology you are familiar with, or just an insight into your current project, your daily work. That might sound boring, but my own experience is that people really love it. Many of your colleagues have no idea what you actually do. Everyone is busy with their own tasks. Such a meeting can improve the exchange among you and might encourage others to share something from their field, from their daily work as well. And the exciting aspect, of course, is that while you explain something technical or prepare for it, you will probably realize there are things you don't fully understand. Zeno quotes Loan Groner from Citibank about explaining something to someone else. This allows you to realize the gaps you have, so you deep dive and study more about the topic you are trying to teach. But you can also try to publish something online independently of your employer. Videos, blog posts, or give a presentation at a conference. Now you might say, no way, I'm too nervous for that, I'm a developer, not a speaker. But Zeno writes that he has already given over 100 talks at developer conferences, but he still feels a lot of fear before going on stage, every single time. What he means is it's completely okay if the thought makes you nervous. He always feels nervous before a talk. He feels a little panic. He feels like a fraud. He thinks that there are surely others who understand the topic even better. Is he even an expert in this field? But after giving a talk, it always gives him a tremendous boost in self-confidence. Other people come up to him, ask questions, praise the talk, thank him. So giving a talk not only helps you understand something better, which was the original point of this chapter, but also boosts your self-confidence. You feel proud and have the feeling of having helped others. And you also get to exchange ideas with others on a topic, which also improves your knowledge. So here are a few tips or to-dos. You don't have to do them all, but feel free to choose something. Search online for a conference and apply for a presentation. Or create a blog and publish an article. There are many platforms for this, such as Medium, so it doesn't take much effort and it doesn't have to be a long article. Just get started with it. Publish a YouTube video on a topic and explain something there. Or if you work in a company, invite a few colleagues to a time to share meeting. It can be half an hour and just present something you know a bit about or what you're currently working on. You don't have to be an expert to explain something to someone. If you have some basics, the preparation you put into a blog post or a presentation can help you deliver a solid message, because that's the point. You learn by explaining it to others. Habit 7: master the dark side. The chapter actually starts with a quote from Yoda: "Named must your fear be, before banish it you can." But what is this about? What is the dark side? Zeno says being a developer is not just about implementing code. Developers are essentially translators. They translate user requirements into functionalities. So if you work as a developer in a company, there's likely someone who brings requirements to you that you need to implement. Depending on the company, these requirements might be very technical, detailed, or just a rough business requirement. However, it's always helpful to understand the business side. That's the dark side Zeno is talking about. Many developers just want to code, the light side, and not to deal with product managers or customer service representatives. But today there are so many developers out there. Some have learned a bit from an online course, some have studied it, and some are experienced experts with many years of experience. So there are many people who can code, but only a few also understand the business side. And doing so, he says, can help with day-to-day activities. For example, save time. There are always unforeseen things that can happen during development. The better you understand the business side, the more likely you can solve such problems yourself, because you know the intention behind a requirement. Then you don't need to schedule a meeting with someone to explain something, you can just continue and solve the problem yourself. Prevent complex code. We developers always want to design things as abstract, flexible, and extensible as possible, and sometimes we put a lot of effort into something that might be unnecessary. If you understand the business case well, you can identify cases where you know that no one will likely ever touch or extend this code again. Then you can save yourself the effort of making it easily extendable. Better prioritize. Zeno says, with better business knowledge, it's easier to prioritize the micro decisions you need to make when coding. If you can better assess what the business side wants, what the users want, then you can prioritize more easily and focus on the most urgent things first, putting the most effort there. That's all easy to say, but how can we better understand the business side? Here are some to-dos. Start a conversation with colleagues on the dark side, on the business side. It's important to use the right vocabulary. When you talk to people on the dark side, listen carefully and use their words. This leads to better mutual understanding. Consume content about developments in your industry. For example, just articles on the internet. Personally, I worked in banking software for several years and subscribed to a few newsletters that regularly send me current news on the subject. Super easy and super helpful. Research competitor products. Then you'll see where your product is better or worse. You may also be able to better understand the real needs of your customers by looking at it from outside and not from the inside like you might be currently working on. Zeno says, remember, a person who knows how to code is powerful. A person who knows how to code and knows how the business works is unstoppable. And I think he's right. Habit 8. Side projects. When we think of successful products, we quickly think of big unicorn startups. But Twitter, Slack, and Craigslist, for example, started as side projects. And such a side project can help you become a better developer. It can help you make money, launch a product, but there are also other good reasons, even if you don't want to become an entrepreneur. It benefits you as a skill for your resume, for example. If you have learned a new technology, you can include projects such as your participation in open source projects in your portfolio. And you can use side projects to learn new technologies that you might not encounter in your daily work. Because companies are often limited to a few programming languages and technologies, but there is so much more out there that you might be interested in, that you enjoy. And that could be beneficial for your career as well. For example, I started a side project a few years ago and developed an app, a party game, with a friend. Suddenly, in the company where I was employed, I became the app expert and was asked to work on a new app project. And that wasn't a games company, a completely different subject area. But I knew how to develop an app. This project was even in a more modern technology than I had worked with before at this company. The side project opened up a new career path for me. Before starting a new side project, Zeno asked himself several questions, including: do I really enjoy the subject, field, type of work? If not, you probably won't be motivated to work on it for long. Fun and enjoyment or some other positive drive is essential in my opinion too. Can I execute this idea fully by myself? Is this a project for me alone? Can I handle all the required tasks, or can I learn them? If not, it might help to bring others on board. Am I willing to spend at least 5 years working on this idea? If not, it might not become its own product, but you could still explore the idea or technology if you find it interesting. It's important to understand your motivation. Why am I excited about this idea now? Answer this question when starting a side project. Do you want to make money, or do you just want to learn a new technology? Both are fine in my opinion, but you should have the right expectations and of course align your actions with those expectations. If you seriously want to sell the product one day, you should be able to plan time for it every day or at least every week. Additionally, as Eddie Osmani from Google, quoted by Zeno, says, side projects might lead to a small open source project. They've given me opportunities to create libraries and tools that are now used by others. Through open source, I've met many friends, grown my knowledge through reviewing pull requests, and gained a deeper appreciation for engineering best practices that are different from those I typically use at work. So lots of advantages, and here are some to-dos for you. In the next few days, think about apps you like to use and see if there's something you could improve or make better. This could put you on the right track to find out what you find interesting and where you see your strengths. And start a list and write down ideas for side projects. I have a list on my phone where I always jot down small and large project ideas. Most will probably never see the light of the day, but some have in the past. This has brought me some money and knowledge about new technologies, and it was a lot of fun. And if you really have no idea for your own project, then I highly recommend the offer from my partner CodeCrafters. CodeCrafters is a learning portal for developers backed by Y Combinator, who are also behind the famous Hacker News, and also by technical founders of Instagram, Dropbox and Superbase. CodeCrafters is really about learning by doing. It's not about watching hours and hours of tutorials. You actually develop things like Git, Redis cache or Docker with your own hands. How does it work? You choose a project and then a language. There's a wide range of programming languages available, such as Go, JavaScript, Python, Java, Rust, and so on. Then you get a small Git repo with a starter project, and you have to solve various stages one by one. After each stage, CodeCrafters tells you if you solved it correctly. If yes, there's confetti, which is super fun. And if you need help, you can access many code examples, relevant videos on the topic, and sometimes even the original implementation of the software. You could try the whole thing for free, and if you like it, you can start a paid membership. And if you use the link in the video description, I get a little kickback. That would really help me out, but don't feel obligated. And now, let's continue. Habit 11, don't underestimate. As a programmer, you are a problem solver, and there's no such thing as solving the same problem twice. There are always new challenges, whether they are technical, business related, or involve working with other colleagues or departments. This is something developers deal with every day. And I assume you're often asked, how long is this task going to take? Whether it's from your boss, product owner, or stakeholder, people want to know when something will be completed. The problem is often very difficult to estimate how long development will take, and we often underestimate the effort and give too low an estimate. Why is this? We want to impress others. Of course, when someone asks how long something will take, we want to show off a bit and say it's a piece of cake. We underestimate in our estimation. Additionally, we forget that's not all about coding. Coding is probably a lot of fun for you, but it's not the only thing you have to do. You have to deal with the entire software development lifecycle. Build software, write unit tests, document, resolve merge conflicts, handle pull request comments, and so on. We don't focus on one thing. We often estimate the total time for something, but forget that we don't have 9 to 5 available for it. We have to attend daily meetings, work on other tickets, help colleagues, etc. And we can't handle the pressure. When our boss comes with an important deadline, we don't always want to admit that it's difficult to meet it. And we say it will be done in time. But why is this even a problem if we underestimate the effort? Others need to rely on you. You shouldn't come across as unreliable. And other departments or customers simply need a meaningful estimate to have planning reliability. Moreover, in general, no one will complain if something is finished earlier than planned, but if it's delayed, it causes anger and frustration. So, what can be done to avoid this? First of all, it's important to understand that it's impossible to be 100% accurate with an estimate. A concrete tip: if you need to estimate a large task, it's helpful to break it down into smaller, separate tasks and then estimate those. A single task should not take longer than 2 days. And if a project involves a lot of unforeseen things or new elements, then you should also make the estimate significantly larger and always add a buffer. My additional tip: you can also try saying no. You can say in response to a request for an estimate, I find it difficult to estimate with my current knowledge. Of course, this is not always possible, but you will see that this is more accepted than you might think. A to-do for you. It depends a little on how extensively you document estimates and working time for a task in your company. If not very extensively, do it yourself. Take a post-it for the next task with your estimate and track exactly the time you need for it. Do this with several tasks in a row, and over time you will get a feel for how accurate your estimates are, because they will naturally get better with more experience. So, those are 4 of the 14 habits of highly productive developers by Zeno Rocha. If you're interested in this book, there is a link in the video description. I'm also happy to receive feedback. Write it in the comments. If you like the video, feel free to like it and subscribe to my channel, because that helps me a lot to make such videos. Thank you very much. See you next time.